My name is Michael the Poet, and this is the Poet's Conscience.
Father's Conscience.
And we're here with my man's
Father Mitch, a.k.a. Mitch.
And this is the Poet's Conscience,
Father's
not
conscience.
his conscience.
Father's.
He's not that conscious.
The father.
So, you know, a little bit of background. Where should I start?
I don't know, nigga, it's your background.
All right. So, I'm here, 28, decided I wanted to make a podcast, right?
Oh.
Decided I wanted to make a podcast. The reason being, I think that there's a lot that we got to discuss, right? There's a lot of things going on in this world today, and there's not a lot of thought about it, right? So the podcast is supposed to be about healthy dialogue. So everything here is just to have a conversation about it. It's not about whose point is right, whose point is wrong. It's a healthy dialogue. It's about perspectives, because that's something that we're missing. We got to talk about different perspectives, right? I could have just came up here, did it by myself, but
it wouldn't be fun because I'm not here.
He's a character.
So he needed me.
He's a character. But it's also, to get other people's takes on it and the topic. So, of course, we're going to talk about religion. We'll talk about relationships. There's going to be politics. There's going to be things about gender, about orientation, mental health, things about the culture, things about society. No topic is really off limits.
Nothing.
So today, in this episode, right, it was just really to get through the introductions, but more importantly, what we're really talking about is compromise. That's going to be our first topic in the episode. Compromise. How you feel about compromise? Why are you laughing?
Because compromise is rare. Real compromise is rare. Efficient compromise is rare. I believe that no relationship can really flourish without compromise. To compromise, in my opinion, of course, it takes two elements. One being understanding, and two being sacrifice. It takes a great understanding of yourself and of the situation when trying to compromise, so that you don't compromise yourself in the process of compromising for your significant other. And sacrifice in the sense of not being too selfish to compromise. So those two things together, to me, is what makes efficient compromise. And, nowadays that's pretty hard to find. It's pretty hard to do because people are really for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people don't want to compromise. They just want things their way. And
kind of like how this is the Poet's Conscience.
This is mine. Like this is Father's Conscious. Right. And basically, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough.
Well, you know what? I definitely hear that. But for me, I want to go back to what we discussed as I want to go back to what the definition of compromise is, right? Lots of times, and I made sure I got this down right. People say that compromise is to make a deal where each party gives up a part, right?
It's a concept. Prosperous.
Yeah, it's a concept where we're finding an agreement through communications, right? But the reason why I said I want to go back to that is because the definition of compromise also entails another side of it, right? Where, which is not good. And I mean by that is in war, right? When they say our base, our hideout has been compromised, that's not a good thing, right? When we talk about our immune system, right? When we get sick, if we're binge eating, yo-yo dieting, those things compromise your immune system.
That's a different definition of compromise.
No. But that's why I'm saying there's multiple definitions of compromise.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm bringing that back is because I don't believe in compromise. I don't believe in compromise. He gonna laugh at that. That's crazy.
Savage.
How is this healthy that he's laughing at me?
That's savage.
I don't believe in compromise. I don't believe it's a thing. Well, it's a thing, but I don't believe in it.
Why not?
All right. So, and that's where we're going to get into it, right? When we compromise, lots of times, even as you said, we're compromising ourselves, right? And this all came from a video that I seen with Eartha Kitt. I'm not sure if you know who that is.
I don't.
She's the person of Jingle Baby.
What's that?
Jingle Baby? It's a song. Santa Baby. All right, so we took a quick intermission, quick break. He had to put some gel in his hair. But back to what I was saying about Eartha Kitt. She is the person who sang Santa Baby. Yeah, I said Jingle Baby the first time. I apologize.
Okay.
And she did a documentary about it was called All by Myself, Eartha Kitt story, and what happened really changed the way I thought about it. Right, the interviewer had asked her a question. And he was like, I don't want to mess it up per se, but he essentially asked her a question about can someone be with Eartha Kitt, and she said that is not for her to decide. That is for the person to decide. And then he asked her about does she compromise, and she said, so a man comes into my life and I have to compromise. Let's think about that one. And I thought about it, not in the sense of like a man coming into my life, right? But in terms of a person coming into your life, do you compromise? What does that mean? That someone else has now entered into your life that we have to even consider compromising, right? And then moving forward, she said, a relationship is a relationship that has to be earned. It's not something to compromise for. And that she has fallen in love with herself, and she wants someone to share it with her. She wants someone to share, her exact words were, I want someone to share me with me. And I thought about that.
That's some Kanye shit.
But it's a serious concept when you really think about it. I want someone to share me with me. It's not this guy.
You don't hear Kanye in that?
It is.
I want to share me with me. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It is, right? It is. But it's a deep concept when you really think about it, right? Because what is love and what is compromise? And that's what made me start to think about it from that standpoint of, I'm not compromising just because someone else comes into my life, right? Because when you love someone, you have to accept your partner, your significant other, for who they are. And the problem when we compromise that is really deep is that what are we compromising? And it's sometimes morals, standards, and our beliefs, right? Our morals are basically what we find to be acceptable or not. Our behaviors are what we engage in, and our beliefs are what generally guide us, or what move us in some type of way. So when we talk about compromise, when someone else enters your life, whether it be romantic or even into the level of like friendship, if you have to compromise, then there's something wrong there, because you're compromising core things about you. So
not necessarily. I think that in terms in the compromise that you're talking about, you're going past the extent of how much you should compromise. Not all compromise is bad compromise, because you can also compromise bad habits to therefore create good habits. And if
jumping ahead, we're gonna get there, boy. Right, go ahead. Go ahead.
But Not all compromise is bad compromise. Let's say you live with your significant other and you guys are sharing house responsibilities. You are now living with this person, and because you're living with this person and you're on your own, you now have to take up certain responsibilities that you didn't have to do before. Let's say if you lived at your parents' home. So with doing that, you're learning new things and how to maintain a home, and in learning those new things, you're sort of discarding those habits that you didn't have to therefore create habits that you do have for the sake of maintaining that household and maintaining that environment with your significant other for the better. So not all compromise is bad compromise. The compromise you're talking about is the compromise in which you're going too far at that point. If you're compromising your core values, you're going too far. And at that point, you shouldn't compromise. But I do believe that at some point in a relationship, you're not going to be completely identical with that person, and it's going to take some sort of compromise to an extent. As long as it doesn't compromise your core being and your core beliefs, I think compromise is okay.
And you see, that to me is what I call an agreement. That's an agreement, right? An agreement is an arrangement between two parties on a course of action. That's like the definition of it, right?
But that's kind of what compromising is. It's an agreement, so that both parties get what they want.
And you see, that's the thing. We use compromise as a synonym for agreement. Compromise, like as earlier there was like, it's like in the definition. It's an agreement, but an agreement already comes in. Agreement is already something that we already said is an arrangement. So, and that's why I said the other definition of compromise is not good. And I guess maybe that's where the perspective comes in, is because I'm looking at it from that other definition, and that's the nail and hammer to this, right? Because whenever we talk about compromise, people always go to that specific first definition. It's just an agreement. It's this, give and take. But that's exactly what I mean. That should just be an agreement. This over here, when we compromise, that's not good, right? Because I do believe even when you use that definition, we're talking, like, I'll give an example, right? Day-to-day task. That's something that you agree to. That's something that you guys work out. When you're living with someone, you talk about, all right, you do the laundry, I'm going to go pick up the kids. All right, cool. Or, all right, if I make dinner tonight, you can make it tomorrow, or if I make dinner, then you wash the dishes. Those are agreements. Those are not something that we have to compromise on. Like when you really even frame that, you compromising not washing the dishes? You compromising on like something that like that word doesn't even, I don't even feel that word fits, right, for such a small task. And I guess that's probably where I'm also coming from, is that we use it in such a synonymous way with agreement that we start throwing it and using it like, man, I had to compromise today. Why? My girl wanted to watch Gilmore Girls, and I wanted to watch Power. You feel me? Shout out my son Ghost. But again, that's what I'm saying. Like I hear you, and I'm not taking that away from you. But I definitely feel that that's my thing with compromise.
So taking the example you used, right? Yeah. Of you doing something as what you said was like petty, as far as like house chores. Not petty, but
I
like
didn't say it was petty.
Petty, but not petty, but like
I need to compromise and change that word.
Small. Shut up. Something that's like small, like house chores. Yeah. Now let's flip this. And let's say that you are a man who traditionally has a traditional mindset. Sorry. Yeah. Who feels as though the woman should clean the household and not the man. Okay. Now let's take that, and let's say the woman is busy doing whatever she's doing, working and so on and so forth, because they're both the money makers, and the man is at home, the house isn't cleaned, and he doesn't feel as though he should do it because he feels as though that's a woman's task. Mm-hmm. Now, if the woman has that conversation with the man and says, "Hey, this is a thing I feel we both should do," but the man's belief is that's a woman's job, should he compromise this? Since technically that'd be compromising his core values. Or should he just say, no, fuck that, and find another woman who suits what he wants?
I believe that's a conversation they should have had before they moved in.
Most of the time, though, that there's certain things that you only encounter where you live with somebody. And
I feel that, like I definitely do feel that. But definitely, at least for me, that's a very weird situation to be in. Like, how do we get to living with each other and we never even had the conversation about what do you think about chores? What do you think about cleaning up? I think that's a whole nother conversation. Like you know what I mean? Like we just got up one day and said, we're going to move in together. Like, you know, like we just, let's do this thing, girl.
I feel like after a certain age, that's what adults do. Like 6 months, they move in. That's it.
That's a conversation. To any adults out there who have done that, no shade, but that's a conversation.
Or shade.
That's Father Mitch. He's shading you. But again,
y'all be wilding. Y'all be wilding out.
So let me talk about why I said that, right? But you know what? Before we get that, we're going to go to a commercial break real quick, and we're going to talk about that afterwards. So we'll be right back. Parents and adults, we're sorry. We back. The Poet's Conscience.
Father's conscious.
Michael the Poet.
Father's cautious.
Michael the Poet.
Fathers.
We're not compromising. What's your name?
Father Mitch.
All right. So we here. We back. We was just at a point where I was gonna tell you a story. That's crazy. Story time.
Tell them.
And you know, it's about a person that shall be unnamed. I won't tell no details. But this is what also put me in that mindset of not compromising, right? On my morals, values, behaviors, beliefs, right? I was dating this person, and she was into very specific things, right?
Like what?
I don't know if I want to say the word is magic. I don't know if I, spirits and like channeling, like
voodoo.
I'm not
She
calling
was
it
into voodoo.
I'm not calling it voodoo.
She was into voodoo.
I'm not calling it voodoo.
Witchcraft.
I'm not calling it that.
It was witchcraft.
Listen, there's people out there who do these things, so you need to be respectful. Watch your mouth, Father.
I ain't disrespecting the spirits. I'm just saying.
So
that's voodoo, y'all.
So anyway, so while we were dating, she asked me. She was like, "Hey, can you come to this meeting?" And I was like, "Oh, all right. What's going on in this meeting?" She was like, "Well, we channel spirits and we channel."
That's voodoo.
We channel spirits and we channel energy. And I was like,
what?
Nah. All right, you know what I mean? That's not really for me.
All right, so how long did y'all date?
Does it really matter how long we dated? Like, that's not part of the story. Let's get to the story. So while she asked me, "Can you come?" And I said, "You know what? That's not for me."
You told the truth?
Yeah, that's not for me. Like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And she was like,
You want to channel spirits with her?
No. My fear, and I'm gonna say it, was I would show up, we would start channeling energy or spirits, whatever, right? I really don't know. And
so y'all was doing it together, or she was doing it by herself?
Can you listen to what I'm saying? I'm afraid that if I had went and we started doing this, and let's say we had to hold hands, somebody was gonna break the circle, and then everything was gonna go downhill. Like, some demon was gonna pop up, and I'm gonna be like, so the one time I show up, y'all want to summon a whole demon?
So wait, they channel spirits in a circle?
I don't know. I didn't really ask no
this
question.
Is your imagination of yes. How they channel
I jumped out the window, Ron Browse. Like, I was like wilding. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable. And she was like, oh, well, we've been doing this for a while. We do it like, I think like once a month or every few months. And whoever I'm with, I really need them to be a part of that. And I said, well, whoever I'm with, they can't make me do what I don't want to do. Like, I not in that sense, but it was just like, that's not part of my religious belief. I don't believe in channeling energy or messing with something that I don't understand.
Was she beautiful?
The witchcraft, or what were you talking about?
Not the witchcraft. I don't care about the witchcraft. Was the woman beautiful?
Yes, she was beautiful. She was.
How beautiful? Well, she wasn't beautiful enough to get you into witchcraft.
Looks are not going to compromise my soul. All right. And again, this is not me saying that people who do this have their soul compromised. Everyone is welcome. This is healthy dialogue, nice perspectives. Like, if you do that, that's fine.
Voodoo ain't healthy.
If that's what someone else chooses to do, that's fine. But
voodoo's not healthy. Don't do voodoo at home. Don't do it at home. Don't do it in a prayer circle. Don't do it with your friends. Just don't do it. Did they kill goats in the prayer circle and offer that shit up?
I don't know. All right, let me get to the moral of the story. At the end of it, like, we kind of went back and forth just a little bit because it was a very quick conversation. Because it was like, I need whoever's gonna go with me, who I'm gonna be with, to go. All my previous partners went. Okay, well, I'm a new partner. I don't do that, and I don't feel comfortable. So, where we at with it? You know what I mean? And that's really where we came down to. And I think within a few hours we broke up, and that was just that.
Oh, that was fast.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the last reason why we broke up, but that was a huge reason, because I'm not going, right? And that's because my belief or my core value is I don't feel comfortable with it. That goes against my own belief of God, right? I don't see what energy or spirits we need to channel and call upon me. Like, no, sorry. So, right.
I think in terms of compromising, to compromise
my soul?
Is that what your soul for voodoo? I think that's a big that's on another level. I was talking about house shows. We went to voodoo. That's a whole different step. Don't do voodoo at home. Don't do voodoo
Get your chin
at all.
Damn mic.
Don't do it at home. Don't do it with your friends. Don't do it with a prayer circle. They was killing goats. And they was taking the goat blood and just LeBron James it. The goat blood. That's crazy.
Right. But then, hold on.
I'd have left her too.
Whoa. I got one other story, right? So
it's the same girl.
Different girl.
You got all the luck.
No. So I met this girl. No names again.
Where at?
It doesn't matter where at.
I need the visual.
No, that's too much info. So I met this girl. It was my first time meeting her. There's a bunch of people around. There was no. I don't think there was any tension or anything happening. But everyone's just talking, everyone's chilling, and then someone was like, "Oh, like, you guys seem very compatible. Like, you guys should blah blah blah." Like, I think it was like a joke, but I guess for some reason she kind of entertained it during that quick moment, and she was like, "Oh, what's your sign?" And I was like, "My sign? What is my?"
I hate that shit.
I was like,
because they basically prejudge you before they even get to meet you. Once they ask your sign, asking somebody's sign before you meet them is like asking them their job. When you ask somebody what they do for a living before you meet them, that's just them basically scouting you to see if you're worthy of really.
If my power level was over 9,000. Was my power level over 9,000? I don't think my power level was over 9,000.
It depends on your sign.
But all right, all right. So she was like, "What's your sign?" And I was like, "My sign? I don't really know. Like, what are you getting at?" She was like, "Oh, well, I really believe in astrology and everything, and I believe that our signs have to be compatible." And I was like, "Oh, well, I don't know. I was born in July." So she was like, "Oh, you're a Cancer. We're not compatible, and it can't happen." We'll be right back. All right, so she asked me what was my sign, and I was like, I don't know, like Cancer? Like, no, I said no. She told me it was Cancer. I was like, I was born in July. Like, I guess that's what you're meaning. She was like, "Oh, you're a Cancer. We're not compatible. It can't work." And I was like, okay. Like, I you know what I mean? Like, imagine being in that predicament. It was mad. It was kind of weird because I was like, I never even. She just made a suggestion. Now you just denied me. So now I should just, you know what I mean? Like, all over my month when I was born. Like, you don't know me. Like, you judging me on a crab? Like, I was like, all right. So you know what I mean? Like, and you know what? At the end of the day, though, it was weird, but I respected it because it was like that's her belief. That's what that's what guides her. She didn't care to know me at all. like that's kind of this. It felt a type of way, but I respected it because it was like, nah. I was like, all right, heard you.
A lot of times, it's not really people who are deeply into astrology. They only really know the basics. It's mostly people who have had experiences with certain signs, and whether those experiences are good or bad depends on how they treat people of those signs going forward. Personally, I think it's crazy to have a prejudged opinion about somebody based on the day they was born. But, you know what I'm saying? To each their own. As long as you don't do voodoo, I'm cool. Don't do voodoo.
The thing about it, though, like, so not even against astrology because I don't want to get that far because we talking about compromise. The thing about it is, it's just kind of like, it feels so general. Like, it's like a general statement about you. And then people think of examples of that statement. So it would be like, oh, people with cancer is like, they good looking. And then you see like, I'm a Cancer. Oh, yeah, he's good looking. So he's a, feel me? No?
What?
Anyway, you feel me? So let's go back to compromise. That's what we got to do. We're going back to compromise. So, again, like, so I do believe that, again, there is a part where we can compromise, right? I believe that what you said was a good example of that.
Of course it was.
When we talk about this nigga, when we talk about like that value of women, like as you said, a guy who believes that women should be the ones who clean and do the house stuff, and they should just be the breadwinner, right? I believe that you can compromise if you think like it's outdated, like your belief is outdated. If you feel like this change is for the better, if you feel that that this is something that would benefit you to change, right? Mm-hmm. Because again, a guy like that probably wouldn't have to compromise because there are women out there who do believe I just want to be a stay-home wife. Men should take care. Like, there are women who really do believe that.
But he may not want that woman. He may want the woman that he's with now.
But then there you go. Are you going to compromise that belief system that you've been raised on, that you think is true, that is your core belief for somebody? And again, how did we not even have that conversation beforehand? So it's I get why you might compromise, but how did we get here that we have to compromise? And that's the other part about it. How did we get here? Like Tinder date, and I'm like, I want to move in. Let's move in together. Like,
I feel like that's how it be sometimes. Cause y'all move way too fast.
Slow down.
Move way too fast. Slow down. Slow down. Make sure she's not doing voodoo first.
A little bit of water.
That's important.
Can we leave this person alone? Like,
no.
I'm not harboring on
this. You left her alone a long time ago. I'm talking about voodoo. Don't do that. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy.
We had a mutual. I know it wasn't very mutual, but you feel me? Like
what do they do in that circle? Do they just?
I told you they channel energy, in spirits.
That's
but
crazy.
all right. But okay, so if we had put my water down, if we had to leave this topic, right, and really get off of it and segue later on, right? What would be the takeaway message? What would you say?
Compromise if it's for the better. And it's often hard to determine if it's for the better, especially coming from the person who is considering a compromise because they have a biased point of view. But try to look at it from a bird's eye view and ask yourself, like, is this compromise going to help me or my relationship in the long run? Is it going to help the growth? Is it going to help this relationship become healthier and put us in a better place in the future? If it does, then definitely, in that case, compromising is absolutely okay. Compromising doesn't always have to be looked at as a glass half empty. It can be looked at as glass half full. So I feel like there's no shame in compromising. Compromising takes sometimes you putting your pride to the side for the better, and don't hesitate if it's for your growth and your relationship's growth. All compromise isn't bad compromise, but don't compromise too much of yourself to the point where you're compromising your core values and your core beliefs that you feel that are essential to your character. At that extent, you shouldn't compromise, but you should know what kind of compromise is okay and what isn't.
I agree, but I feel like also I'm not compromising in no relationship that's like 3 months old. I don't know if that what I'm being so serious. Like when I just meet someone and you talking about if I just meet you, you say like, "Yo, I do voodoo," I'm going the other way. Like, you feel me?
Don't do voodoo.
Yo, I swear if I get cursed after this, I won't because you're just going mad hard.
Yo, what are those stone bowls that like the cavemen used to use when they were like putting herbs together? Was they doing that with like goat blood and the intestines?
What is with you and this goat blood?
Because I feel like that's the basis of what all voodoo comes from. It's always goats. You never notice that? It's always goats. Talk to the people who come from the Caribbean. Talk to real Puerto Ricans.
Yo, this is getting crazy. He went to the.
It's always goats. Always goats. I don't know why. But don't do voodoo, y'all. Don't compromise for somebody who does voodoo. Seriously.
And if it's like 3 months, don't do it. But
if it's 6 months and they do voodoo, still don't do it.
That's a fact. So that will be our first episode. We're gonna wrap this up. So, please follow me on everything at Michael the Poet. Instagram, Michael the Poet. Facebook, Michael the Poet. YouTube, Michael the Poet. Like, subscribe, click that bell that everyone's always talking about. So you can always get updated about these videos. Even on the podcast systems, please please follow.
Father Mitch. Instagram is Father Mitch. Father spelled correctly. Mitch, like Mitch from Paid in Full. Together, Father Mitch. Follow me. Father's Conscious. That's it.
You're not. It's mine. Cut.